Hey there YouTube, Rob Brinlow here with another book review. This time we're going to be reviewing Nightworld by F. Paul Wilson. This is the final book in the series of a series of books called the Repairman Jack series. And this book is now a print, but I read this when I was about 12, so it's nearly 20 years ago. It's the story effectively around a guy called Rassilon, who's a bit of an evil bastard, who opens up a hole in Central Park, which is pretty much bottomless. And what he then does is he starts to change the Earth's trajectory, so that it becomes more and more. So, for instance, like the sun will rise up, say 6 in the morning, and set at 8 o'clock at night, but he's making that gap progressively shorter and shorter, so at the very end, before it goes completely dark, it comes up at say 9 in the morning and sets at 10 that morning, so this is a space of an hour of sunlight. The other main character in this is a man called Glaken, who owns like an apartment block that overlooks the first hole that Rassilon is currently in. And him and Rassilon have been enemies since, well, forever. I haven't read the previous book, so I can't really go into a great deal of detail. So he realises that the final battle is ready, but he needs a weapon, which is effectively this sword. And it got many years ago, it got melted down into lots of other little parts. So Glaken has to get people together to go off to go get the pieces so he can bring it back and actually put the sword together. This is actually a very good book. It's extremely graphic on some of the parts, like for instance one of the characters is a man called Dave who's in a wheelchair, and when night comes all these monsters and kind of start off very, very small, from like, you know, the size of maybe like a tennis ball, and then they get progressively bigger. I mean, the biggest one apparently is so big it can actually swallow a whole, like those massive planes, like the really big planes now that we get, swallow one of them whole. That just shows how big they are, and they never need to return because they fly ahead of the sunlight and the horizon. But there's a scene where Dr. Dave gets captured, and it describes how he gets, well, effectively eaten, but it's very grim, some of it. It's a good book, don't get me wrong, but some of it I was kind of like, ooh. Again, I won't spoil the ending because it will be a bit pointless. The book is again out of print, as I've said, but I have managed to find a copy of it on eBay, and I subsequently found it on Amazon for my Kindle, which my brother gave me, which is quite nice. I don't know how many books are beforehand. I will try and put up a link for it from Wikipedia. It doesn't actually offer that much of a description on Wikipedia, I checked earlier, but it's enough to get you interested. If you're into sort of the end of the world type of sort of stuff, it's worth reading. And you think that at the very end, I'm going to have to give a bit of a spoiler, that everything goes back to normal, but when you read the final page, you'll see that one person actually loses more than he actually hoped he wouldn't. If you read it, you'll know exactly what I mean. That's the final one out of all those books. And next time I'm going on to the Skullduggery books. So watch this space. Bye.